Yo, if you want to experience more joy and expansiveness in your life, you're in the right place because in this video, I'm going to show you how to see God clearly. So this is super secret, but with these special God frequency glasses, you put them on and you see God everywhere. And for 3 easy payments of my son. What's that, Jesus? This is Jesus. Okay. Tell them the glasses are free. Okay, normally we wouldn't do this, but today they are absolutely free. Okay, so obviously these are not God frequency glasses. You don't actually need glasses to see God clearly. God is not something you see, but it's something you feel. To me, God is love. Sometimes we can think of God as an abstract term and we're like, well, what does that actually mean? Is it some guy that's in the sky who's keeping track of everything we do and judging us? But I don't think of it that way. I think of God as love. And for me, God and love are interchangeable. Love is my God. I think of God as being an unconditionally loving energy. It's not a being that is in the sky on a cloud judging us sternly. That's one model of godliness that I was taught when I was younger, but it really doesn't resonate with me and it didn't facilitate a good connection. I don't know if you've ever thought of God that way. And what is love? That's also kind of a hard word to pin down because it means different things to different people. But to me, love is an energy. It's a feeling. Love is not something we can see, but it's something we can feel. And it's not an abstract concept. It actually is a thing that has substance, like gravity. Gravity you can't see, but you can feel, and you can feel the impact of it. And you know the feeling if you've ever had your grandmother's homemade cookies versus some cookies you bought at the store that have been inside of some plastic container for a long time. They may have the same ingredients, but they taste very different. And the key ingredient that's different is the love that your grandmother put into the cookies she made for you. So love is the act of transferring a certain energy into different things that you are doing. So in that example with my grandmother, it's a very easy to understand example, but what about when it's not person to person? Love can be arranging things so there's a better flow of energy. The dishes are all scattered and cluttered and it's crusty and the kitchen is gross. When your partner comes home, they're not gonna feel great. You know, they would probably feel better if there was clean energy and feng shui. And that's how I interpret cleanliness is next to godliness, because you are putting presence and love into the maintenance of that kitchen and that space. And you're creating a certain energy flow through there. When we go to church, or when I did, we used to like dress up and wear nice things. In my perspective, that's acknowledging that place is an altar and we come to it sharing our best self. To be love embodied, it's being your best self, showing up with unconditional love and presence for whoever you're interacting with or whatever it is that you're doing. So presence, let's talk about that for a second, because that can be another one of those like airy terms. But we know what presence is. Presence is when you're here, when you're fully present. We know what it feels like when someone isn't present. For instance, they can be here physically, but you're talking to them and they're like looking on their phone, or maybe they're not even looking on their phone, but they're just like kind of zoned out, you know? And you feel like their full being is not here. Or even if you're saying something to someone and they like go off for a second and you're like, hey, where'd you go? In a tangible sense, they never left. They're still right here, but you can feel that their consciousness went somewhere. So your presence is when you're fully here. You can feel the person, and it feels different internally when someone is fully present. And that feeling is their soul's embodiment, and their decision to be here fully present is love. That's love embodied. When you show up embodied as love, you're inviting another person to meet you in that fully embodied place. And the energy that exists between the two of you is love. And that love is God. So in order to see God, you have to be God and create that energy. And when you're creating that energy, that transforms whatever you're looking at into a certain frequency. Because I know it may sound trippy, but everything we experience or think we see is actually just where we're operating at, like the vibration we have when we interact with something. So how we choose to interact with something actually impacts the way it's reflected to us. If someone says something in a certain way, if we're in an agitated state, we may take offense to it. It may depend on our relationship. If your partner is being difficult, whatever that means to you, you may take it personally and start to feel affected by the way they're acting. But if a baby was being difficult, then you may ask, are they hungry? Did they go to the bathroom in their diaper? In other words, you're not personalizing it. You're actually looking into them and saying, what could be wrong that they're expressing discomfort about? But when it's somebody that we're partners with or friends with or working with, we start to internalize those things, and therefore it makes it more challenging to be loved. But the opportunity we have is to, even in those situations, and actually in all situations, is to be a little bit more thoughtful, a little less reactive, and thinking about the other person's state of being or their personal welfare and what they may be experiencing to make them be coming at you the way they are. And when you take that step back, and when you slow down, and when you choose to embody grace, that's another aspect of love. Because love has so many different ways. Like sometimes it's grace. Love can also be boundaries and discipline. If your child was gonna stick their finger in a socket, it wouldn't be loving to allow them to do that. So sometimes lines have to be drawn. And boundaries, even in interpersonal adult relationships, are sometimes important. So you cannot be leaking your energy somewhere or not actually speaking your truth. Like sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you have to put distance between you and another person because there's misalignment. But if you can acknowledge the misalignment without judgment, just with discernment, not judgment, then that can be another way to express love. What is the difference between discernment and judgment? Discernment is that's not for me. Judgment is that's bad. When I first became plant-based and was exploring veganism and stuff like that, I could become self-righteous about people that weren't eating in the same way that I was. I mean, ever heard that before? I'm sure no vegan has ever shamed you for eating meat. But now I can just say, well, everyone's on their own journey. I've eaten meat before, I don't now. So if someone offers me meat, I would just be like, no thanks. I don't eat meat. But I wouldn't necessarily try to convert them to my way of being and my lifestyle unless they expressed curiosity about why I make the choices that I do. And in that case, maybe I would share it with them. But I would try to do it from a place of sharing information as opposed to talking down on them. And that's something that I'm always working on, is to how to be more loving and just recognize that we are equal. We may be at different points of our journey, but I am love, I am God, I am made from the same thing that you're made from, the same thing that everybody and everything is made from. And what we're doing here in this life is learning how to be God. Like that's the game of life. We're learning how to see God by being God. And when you are being God, it's like hitting a swish, playing basketball. And you may ask, well, why is there so much suffering and pain in the world if everything is God? And to go back to that basketball analogy, would the game be fun if you couldn't miss? Or if you knew you were always gonna win? So within the context of basketball, missing shots and losing games is part of the fun because it makes winning games and making shots really fun. So the journey of mastery within that basketball context is what makes it fun and what makes you feel like you have a sense of accomplishment when you're playing the game. So that's the game of basketball. But if you scale out to the game of life, we're not trying to make baskets, we're trying to be the embodiment of love at all times. And that's different depending on what situation you're faced with. So it's understanding that we're here to love and that that's the point of the game that's going to make you have a fulfilled life. Because if you don't understand why we're here, you're going to be in suffering and you're going to be aimless and not clear on how to move through your day-to-day life. And how do I know that? Is because I've been lost before. I've been in a place where I didn't realize that every opportunity in life was offering me a different way to experience or express love. But now that I see the world that way, there's no situation that's not the point, or taking me off my path, because wherever I go, I have the choice, I have the opportunity to be the embodiment of love. So now I can just be at peace knowing that my purpose lives within me and it's the center of me. It's a fun way to think about life, and it's a way that gives me peace, and I hope it gives you peace too. As you grow and mature, you become more wise through your experiences on how to be loving, and when you are loving, love is reflected to you and you see God. Not with your eyes, but maybe with your third eye, with your energy body, with your heart. You just feel it, you know? And it's not something that can be proved, but it's something we all know when we experience it. If you know a situation where you know love is there, even though it can't be proved, I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know what that situation is. Maybe it's your dog coming to greet you. Maybe it's the sunshine. When you go outside, you're like, oh, I am blessed by the sun. Whatever it is, I would love to start the conversation. And if you like this video and you like hearing new perspectives or new ways to think about things that could bring more ease and joy to your life, there'll be a lot more videos. You can watch this video right here about morning rituals, which I like to call radiant rising rituals, because the way you start your day influences the rest of the way your day flows. And the easiest way to get contact with God is by starting right off the day going inward instead of going outwards by looking at your phone. But I'll go into that more in this video, so check it out right here. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.